Hi, guys. Hi, everybody. Look at us being productive on a day off. How is everybody? It is 11:01 in Los Angeles, and I'm so excited to see everybody. Awesome. Cool. So people are signing on. Great. So I'm here. This is our last hurrah. I wanted to squeeze out every ounce of support and juice that I could give you guys. So I'm here today to talk about you, talk about whatever is on your mind, questions, hurdles, excitement, thoughts, anything I can help you with in terms of your career or just even in terms of any questions. If you want to ask me anything, I'm here for you. That's why we're here. So I see that you guys haven't turned on your videos, so you don't have to. You can definitely talk to me via the chat, or if you want to talk face-to-face, then you can turn on your video and I can see you and we can just talk a little bit more. Oh, hi, Kate. I saw you just turned on your video. Hi. So right now everyone's muted just so there's no background noise, but if you guys want to chat with me, then there is a way that you can raise your hand. It's like this little feature and it says raise hand or lower hand, and then I see like this little hand go up, so I'll know that I can click on you and we can talk. So before we get started, I just wanted to say a couple things, a few pieces of sort of housekeeping and just thoughts about today. So I woke up today on MLK and I was just thinking about, this person and how every human being has the same potential. We all have the same potential. A lot of us underestimate ourselves, and that is the saddest thing, because it doesn't take another person to stand in our way when we ourselves are doing that, more than anybody else. And I just, with my whole heart, try to spend all of my time as much as I can to help people to get really clear about who you are and how much power and potential and incredible stuff. There's so much good stuff. It never sees the light of day because we overthink it or we sell ourselves short, and that's got to stop. And it's incredible to me. It's honestly astonishing to me how often and how much people underestimate what is possible. And so they don't even begin, or they do a little bit and they'll say to you, how often have you heard this? People will say, I tried everything, it didn't work. And you'll say, well, did you try everything, or did you try one thing and that didn't work, so you gave up, right? And so I posted on my Instagram a couple days ago, and it said 97% of the world is working, 97% of the world gave up too soon and is working for the 3% of the world that just didn't quit, right? And so that's really like a staggering statistic. And when they've looked at it, they've done research, they find that it's really true. When they look at any group of people, they find that there's such a small amount of people who will follow through. And so much of it is like what's going on up here and sort of cracking that so that we can just keep finding this well of energy to fuel ourselves, because we must stay in it. We have to commit. My husband says, I have the will of a small country, and I'm so committed. And so I will just continue to keep changing my strategy and my approach until I finally unlock something. And so, I watched my 1-year-old, she's 16 months. She learned to walk when she was about 12 and a half months. And I watched her continue to try, and try different ways to get up and try different ways to balance. And she was just relentless. It wasn't an option, she was going to figure it out, and she did. And I feel like that has to be the way it is with what we really want. And so I think it absolutely helps to be part of a group or keep somebody else in your life who's going to keep giving you that momentum. It's hard. It's really hard. I think that we were born as tribal sort of types, and we thrive off of a community, and it's hard to be in that feeling of isolation and in our own heads. And so those of you who joined the Access program, I'm so excited to be in your life. In fact, already this coming Thursday, we'll be doing our first session, and I'll be there. And we'll be posting, we just gave you a glimpse of it, we'll be posting a search for you guys for $35,000. We were asked for it last week, and we just got some more feedback on what they want, and we'll be posting that. So it'll already start, and you'll be hit the ground running. So I'm excited about that. So I'm here to answer any questions you have about life, about music licensing, about your career, about the program if you have a question. But I'm just here. I'm just here for the next until 12:30 is my time, so an hour and a half-ish. I'm just here to support you and to give you whatever I can give you. I feel like I had this guy, David Sachs, on my show. He's a Emmy Award writer. He wrote and created the show Malcolm in the Middle and Third Rock from the Sun, and he also worked for The Simpsons. And he's really successful and smart and funny. And I asked him all these kinds of questions about what it means to be successful. And he said, make your life into art. He said, it's not just about making art or making something that's great. He said, it's about in every moment, like who's ever standing in front of you, what do they need? Do they need a hug? Do they need a meal? Do they need a shower? Do they need a kind word? If it's your daughter, if it's your sister, if it's your friend, if it's a neighbor, if it's somebody on the subway, like that's your job every moment. Like how do you show up in every moment and just offer whatever you have? And so I love that because I feel like I get that. I feel that way. But he said it so beautifully, make your life into art. So I'm here for the next hour or so, hour, 20 minutes. I'm here to just be with you guys. And my husband took my kids to the park, and they're working on my house today because we're moving at the end of the week into a new house. So hopefully you won't hear the painters, but I'm here. So tell me what's going on. Tell me how I can help. Kate, I see your hand go up, so I'm going to unmute you. What's going on? Nice to meet you in person.
So I am in the class.
Yay!
Which is exciting, and the materials are already amazing. I've gone back and I've been listening to some of the previous interviews.
Oh, I know. Such good stuff.
It's such good stuff. So it's brought up a lot more questions, but I did just want to say thank you just for having that all in there ready to go. I have a bunch of questions I've written down here. So one question though is I did get the feedback on my song from this exercise, and I wanted to find out if we make the adjustments that you suggested, then can we somehow get that re-reviewed?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That we get so many submissions that for the world at large, it's impossible for us to keep up. Like if you really saw how many people are like, hi, Catch the Moon, I just heard Cathy on this podcast, or I just read about you in this magazine, or I want to submit my song. Like literally it's endless. It's all the time. That's what people do. I get it. That's what I used to do. So it's endless. It's really hard for us to keep up, but we've set aside the time and we hire people full time like Victoria, and we also have a whole other team of people who you'll all get to know over the course of a year. But we have people full-time helping us so that people inside the class, we make sure, because one of the most essential ingredients to getting to your goal is knowing what you're missing and what you're not missing, and hitting that target means you need feedback. So yes, you can resubmit it. We will have lots of ways for you to submit things. Number one, we do listening sessions. Sonnet will pop on for an hour and a half. I'll pop on for an hour and a half. We'll decide, we'll let you know ahead of time so we can make a list, and we will have people post, like, let's say you want to submit for the listening session. We always ask people to say, like, this is my first time posting for a listening session, or my second time, or my third time. That way, we always make sure to get to people who haven't had something listened to in a while first. But we listen all the time, every month, and then we give the music supervisors, as you may have seen already in some of that you watched in the past, we've asked them every time to listen to a handful of songs and to give feedback. And we offer ways for you guys to pitch your songs at least 3 times a month. We'll say, here's something we need for a TV show. They can give you $8,000. This is what they're looking for. Here's something we need for an ad. They have $40,000. And then when you guys submit, we obviously listen and we review. And then we let you know the ones that we pitch, and the ones that we don't pitch, we'll say, here's what was missing. Like, here's why we didn't, think that it was right. So you'll have multiple ways of getting your songs heard. That's so yeah.
The other thing that I was wondering is there within the group, I mean, I know there are a lot of people who do production, and we worked with a specific person who may be, here on the scale. Is there a way to get mentored by producers who are here on the scale who can take us with our production and help us move it to the next level?
Yeah, we do that too, because it's really, really important. So when I tell people, a lot of times what's frustrating is that there's a lot of people in the world who are not really genuine, or they say a lot of things and it's not really accurate. And so that's that's frustrating for other people when you are really saying what it is and it is what it looks like it is. So
Right.
our class really is what it is. And I think that's why it has the reputation that it has and why people who are in it are so happy. So that is part of the class, is that we have brought in producers. You'll see from recordings in the past,
Mhm.
examples of this, but they're continuing. Like Billy Leffler has already come into the class. He'll be in the class again. Scott Feldman is another producer who'll be coming into the class. And not only do they give feedback, but they give people who are in our course, usually they work out an arrangement with them if they want to go into the studio. So we had over 40 of our students, 40, not 4, over 40 of our students went to Bill's studio. And some of them who live in Minnesota or Chile or other places in the world, they worked with him over the miles, where they would like Skype session, right? And then they would send him a track, and all they would need to do is like fly him vocals.
Mhm.
And it was incredible what people created. And we had a student who worked with him, created an EP, and then got a $55,000 Starbucks ad from that. I was totally not surprised, because that's how Bill works. We
Right.
also have some of our fellow students who are great producers, like Zion Brock. There's Javier, there's Silva, there's a bunch of, and what they've done is they've offered themselves to people in the group, and they've said, let me help you. I know how hard it is. I know how expensive it is. This mentorship program costs money, because we pay every person who comes into the class we pay them an honorarium to come and speak. Then we have a team of people listening to the songs and pitching songs. And then we also have all the other overhead of all the kinds of pieces that we're pulling in, because we're pulling in experts every month, not just like one session that's outside of Catch the Moon. Somebody said, how many times do people come in that's not on your team? I'm like, multiple times a month. Like, that's part of what this is. But anyway, producers, people will pay producers usually like $1,500 for a song. You don't even know if they're going to do a great job, or if it's a lot of money. So we've had producers within the group say, I want to help you guys. I want to collaborate with you guys. And if you're inside the group, then, we'll figure it out. We have producers in the group who are students who are helping their fellow students for free to produce songs, and they'll work something out. Well, they'll say, you'll give me a part of the master. Sometimes they'll say, I can't do it for free, but I mean, it's between you guys. Maybe somebody will say, I'll do it for a few $100s, or I'll do it in different ways. But that's one of the most beautiful things about it, I think, is that people come together and they help pull each other up. So it's not just this big ball of overwhelm, and then 2018 becomes 2018 and a half, and then it's 2019, and 2019 turns into 2012, and you're like, I don't know, I'm just not figuring it out. That's really, we don't want to see that.
It was good to see Rich Jacks on there, because he was the first producer I approached to do my children's CD. And he was too busy, but he did play on some of my song tracks. He played guitar on some of my tracks, which was awesome.
That's so nice. Rich is amazing. So that's the other thing. I'm really proud of it. Like, anybody who comes into our class to speak or to give feedback or to work with our students is the real deal. So whether it's like a supervisor who's like the supervisor, not like some coordinator who you've never heard of, like, it's either these supervisors, or it's the like, if it's a producer, it's the producers that are actually getting music licensed all the time. Because so that's the whole point of this program. Like, it took me 10 years to build a reputation and a network of supervisors, searches coming in, producers that I work with. And then I said to myself, could I bring them into other people's lives? Could I just kind of connect the dots? And I started small. I started 3 years ago having workshops in my house. I'd bring my producer friends over. We'd have like 10 people here. We'd co-write. That grew into like, I would use a space like the Hotel Cafe. I would do a workshop on a Sunday. That grew into a class that I rented a theater called The Working Stage. And I had people come. We had like 50 writers every week. And then that grew into an online class, because there were so many people who couldn't come to LA who wanted they wanted those resources. Not everybody can, just drive down the street on Melrose and meet up with the producer. Some people live elsewhere. And I think what's awesome is that these producers, we trust each other. So I think that they feel like if I'm going to bring them somebody, it's not going to be somebody who's lazy. It's going to be somebody who's enthusiastic, who's driven. And I think that actually is worth a lot to them, because I've heard Billy say, I've heard Rich say that they'll work with a producer, an artist, and the person might be talented, but they don't have any direction. And so they'll be in the studio and they'll feel like, I don't know if anything that we just did will see the light of day. Like, I feel like this person is, cynical or jaded or overwhelmed, or doesn't really have an idea of what they're going to do. But I think that they know, like, if somebody's in my course, if somebody's being mentored by me, that they're going to be like ready to like, just sort of like walk to the top of that mountain, you know, and they're ready to commit. So I think that, and we have seen lots of results from what they've done with the students. And I think the students also have humility. They're willing to say, I sort of surrender to, I trust that I want this to be great for sync. I'm not going to like sit here and think that I know better than the producer. I'm going to work with the producer. And so I think it makes for a better creation, you know, especially when most people just go to the studio and they're like, I don't know. What do you want to do today? What do you want to write today? What do we know what we're writing for? Well, when I'm giving you assignments every month and you're seeing searches, you get even more excited. You're like, oh, you can email Rich. Can I work with you? Kathy just posted a search for this show, for this thing. I think together we could create that. And then actually they're more excited because they're like, oh, well, maybe I'll actually just help you songwrite it because I want to be in on that search. You know, it's not like we call them every time we have a request. So I think they get excited just about that. And sometimes you can entice them and say, there's this opportunity. This is what they're paying. Do you want to help me write it? We'd love that. Like, ask them, get them involved. Like we try to let them know as often as we can, but we're so busy. It's not like we can stop work every 10 minutes and say, here's what we need, guys. That's just not how it works. So I think that helps a lot too.
Well, I have more questions, but I think other people might have questions too. So.
Well, those were two great questions. Dax, you're the only other person who has your video on. Do you have a question?
Yeah, sure. In this access course, about how many people are currently in it? And of those people, how many have gotten placements? I mean, I know there are all kinds of different skill levels and people are in it, you know, coming from different places, but I'm just trying to get kind of an assessment.
Yeah, that's a great question. So the access course is something that started in August, at the end of August. And what we did before that was called Six Figure Songwriting 1.0. And so we found that in that class, so let me tell you, so the access class started in August, and the class that we had before that, which already ran for a year, is where we really start to see people having results is once they've sort of completed it. Like we feel like within the first 3 months, there have been some people who've gotten placements, which is great, but I think it takes that full year to create content and be pitching things. And so what we did in the 1.0 class is what we do in this class, except we just added to it. So in the 1.0 class, we were mentoring people, we were giving people feedback, we were doing listening sessions, and then we would sometimes see songs that we really liked and we would pitch them. What we did in the access class is we added to that. We said, we're gonna literally bring in music supervisors all the time, which we did a little bit of in 1.0, but we now just do that regularly. And in 1.0, we were introducing people to Billy Loeffler, to Rich Jacks. I would just do that because the more you know people, I would just do that sort of on the side, and it worked. But in this class, we do it regularly. So from the 1.0 class that was complete, that full year, there was a ton of results. I would say probably over 25 to 30 people got licenses, which is an amazing percentage because there's only couple hundred people in the class. And of the couple hundred people, not everybody shows up, I have to say. It's kind of the way that the world works. A lot of people, I think that they've actually done research that it's always 20% of people who that's just the way things kind of go. There's a bell curve, in any class or in any program. There's always outliers, the ones that don't do anything on this side of that outlier, and the ones who really work hard. And then there's sort of that middle. They kind of do, they kind of don't. But we did see incredible results. In fact, Sonnet has a whole list of those 25, 30 people, and she can tell you exactly what they got licensed. But what was amazing is that I would say almost 99.9% of them had never had a license. So this one got a Starbucks ad for $55,000. This one got a TV spot for $10,000. We had 3 of our students who got spots in the show Younger. What was also real was this one got a Christmas movie. This one got a Hallmark movie. This one got an insurance ad. So many cool things. This one got Hawaii 5-0. This one got 4 placements. And none of them had a license. So that's really cool. What's also really special, I think, about it is that we helped most of those people get licenses. So that's really neat, and then there was also the people who didn't get licenses, but who got a licensing agent or who got their songs accepted by people that they had reached out to who never turned around and gave them the light of day. And they were just well, at least, I have this now, where before I didn't have that. So it'll be interesting to see what starts to happen over the next, since that started in the beginning of, let's say, end of August, beginning of September, October, November, December was kind of quiet. It's going to be really interesting to see what now happens in the Access course. But we already have had some people who've posted, this just happened. And we actually started pitching some of the people in the Access course. There's an incredible track. There's a student named Jean, and we had a really big holiday spot, which was super easy actually, because it was just covers. Like we just needed public domain covers, and they were paying $75,000. And we pitched one of our students as like the top track. I think it was for Subaru, and it got shortlisted. So that was really cool. And this is someone we didn't even know 4 months ago, so it's been so incredible to see. In fact, I'm so happy you asked that, because when I started the class, I remember talking to my husband, and he's like, what if people don't have talent? Like, how can you say to somebody, you can get results when you don't know who's coming into the class? Like, maybe it's me, because he loves to do comedy. And he's like, I don't know if I could teach someone to be funny. Like, some people aren't funny. And I said, well, people who come into this program are self-identifying as people who want to work hard and who really, really are passionate about this. And so what I found through the course of doing it is I've been blown away by the results, actually. And I'm so grateful that I can say that those results have happened. I'm so grateful that I could refer you to those students so you can ask them yourself, because I would feel like a complete fraud if I'm like, yeah, nobody's gotten results, but we love to talk. We love to have a good time. Like, that would be disgusting. Like, I don't think that would be something I could actually keep doing. Even if I felt like people were just having a good time and feeling motivated, it's really just kind of gross. Like, you have to be able to say people got results, and thank God people have gotten awesome results. And truthfully, I think that that's so fast. Like, when I started to write songs with licensing in mind, it took me some time before those songs became not just mediocre, but amazing. And then it really took me time till I could get anyone who was anyone to actually respond to an email, like any supervisor, or to actually have, when you're just like walking around in LA, you're like, how am I supposed to get Lindsay Wolfington to write me back? How am I supposed to get Madonna Wade Reed to know who I am? How am I supposed to get Kevin Edelman or John Houlihan to like respond to my email, or even what are their email addresses? Like, that's where I was. I was in a desert for a long time, and then slowly picking up like a new relationship, like it was like a precious jewel, and then finding my way to like grow that into like something that really was a real relationship, so people would trust me. And now I'm able to share all those relationships with people, which I think I don't know how long that would take. And so I think it's actually very fast. Like John Kleinbell, he's gotten many more than just one license since he started and finished the class. And when I met him, he was like so ready to give up. And truth be told, when I first heard his songs, I was like, I can see why they're not, just like getting synced. They were kind of, I don't know, they were like mid-tempo. I wasn't really sure what he was, aspiring to do. And he was really frustrated. He's like, I've been working so hard. Like, I'm not one of those people who sleeps till noon, and it's not happening. And then like 6 months in, he's like, I think I'm going to give up. Like, this isn't working. And now I'm even more frustrated because I've been doing what you're saying. And I remember looking at him in the face. I'm like, John, you got to stay in this. Like, you have to commit. It's not just like, well, I had this guy on my podcast, Greg Mendel. He owns a bakery in San Francisco. It's called Neighbor Bakehouse. He's got like 20 employees. And I remember him being on the podcast and him saying, people complain about doing the work they want to do. He said it took him until he made like 3,000 croissants. He goes, I didn't even really get how to make a croissant. Like, really, how do you make a croissant? How do you make it that fluffy? Like, it's not just like rinse and repeat the same recipe. There's a finesse to it. There's a mastery of it. And so I said, John, you have to stay in this. Like, you have to commit, like at least see this through the full year. And he was like, okay. And he did. And he's gotten multiple placements since that first year, which ended not that long ago. And then he just posted New Year's, which is 2 weeks ago, he posted and said that he was off to fly to Rome. And he like tagged me in the post.
Oh, it's that guy.
Yeah. and
Yeah.
he tagged Billy Loeffler, who I introduced him to. And he said, you know, a year ago, I was just a totally different person. And here I am, like, flying off to Rome. I don't have a day job. And I'm telling you, honestly, like, if you would have heard his music and how his music has evolved and how he's evolved and how his work ethic has evolved and how many opportunities are now open to him and how many music supervisors know who he is. He's one example, but there have been many of those examples in the class. And I live for those moments, you know, like to see somebody's life change and somebody really feeling. It's really not about like, I made $5,000 this week, I got a check for 70 grand. Like, those are all like, I mean, we just had a band who got $75,000 and we called them. It was like right before Christmas and they were crying, you know, of course, because that's a very life-changing feeling. But I don't think it's the crying because of the money. Like, I think the money is fantastic. And I think money is really important because I think it's great not to be starving. But I think what really makes people, why John posted that, or why all of these artists love this class, I think it's because of a sense of purpose. I think people walk around going, I am myself. I am doing my thing. I am not sitting on the bench, and I'm actually seeing this moving, and that brings me to tears because it makes me feel like, oh, maybe I get to do this. Maybe I get to be myself in this life. Maybe I don't have to settle for something I hate. Maybe I don't have to sell insurance or work at AT&T. Maybe I can really do this, you know? And now John helps all these other artists. And Chelsea Davis got a placement. I remember when Chelsea came to me and she's like, I don't know, Kath. I'm just like, I've done everything you said. I'm like, stay in it, you know? And then she and Shani, who's also in my class, they made an EP with Bill Loeffler. And it was like a matter of time, you know? It was like, boom. And she was like, we did it, you know? And also, by the way, I've seen just so many more things evolve for people. It's like this person starts working with this producer who pairs them now with this other co-writer, and then that equals something. Or they just start getting in a different hustler's mindset. So they start a Patreon, and the Patreon pays for their record, and they get really fired up, and they don't apologize for just like living their life and taking action, and things start to happen. I mean, Mikey Myers, I just was so proud of him. I watched it wasn't even for our class, but he posted a GoFundMe link and said, I want to take it was a different class. He's already in our class. He's like, I want to take this. It was a Clay Mills songwriting workshop. It's like $550. And he did a GoFundMe page, and he said to his friends, if you guys can help support me, I'll write music, or I'll do special, like Kit Creo created like bonuses that he'd do for his friends. And he raised $785 in 24 hours. And I gave him $50 because I was so impressed by that. I'm like, that's amazing. It wasn't $50 towards my class. It was $50 towards him taking this Clay Mills song. I love seeing people who are resourceful. And it's not about like licking my wounds and being a victim and staying in the same space and just continuing to say like, these are my excuses for not having my career, and here's why I can't take this class, here's why I can't do this, here's why I can't make this record. You just be amazed. I mean, I'm just amazed at what resourcefulness can do when you have enthusiasm. So Mikey raised that money for his class, and I helped him. I was like, I'm gonna give you $50, dude, because like I think you're freaking awesome, and I just want to support an artist. And I've done that so many times. Like even my own students who are like starting Patreon pages, I'm like, I'll give you $10 a month. I think you're amazing. Do it. Like whatever you're doing. So I think we're all stuck in this limiting, like it can only be one way. Like if you want to make a record, if you want to find a way to work with this particular producer, there's so many ways to do things. Like maybe you say, hey dude, I don't have the money that you asked me for, Mr. Producer, Mrs. Producer, but I'm in this course and they just posted a search for blah, blah, blah. And I looked at what you've been writing. We could write this together. Do you want in on that? You know, like finding out what value can you bring to someone other than, let's say, money sometimes. What other resources do you have? Or sometimes if it's about finding the money, you create a Patreon, you create a GoFundMe, or you get together, you enable other songwriters, right? Like there's so many ways to do stuff. It's like you say, we're going to put on a night of songwriters. Every one of us is going to tell our own people. We're going to go over to this coffee shop that's got no business, and we're going to say, we want to bring you guys people to walk in the door. There's 5 songwriters. We're all going to come. What if we each come, we put out the word, would you give us 10% of what you guys make that night with coffee or pastries? This is what I'm trying to teach in addition to how to license your music. It's like, how do you make it happen no matter what? How can you be resourceful and start moving that Rubik's Cube so that you get everything you need, because you have it all right now. You just don't necessarily see it in a linear way, but it's all doable. When I went to Billy Loeffler the first time in 2011, I said, here's what I want to make. He's like, well, here's what it's going to cost. And I'm like, oh crap. Okay. I'm going to figure out how to do this, and some of it was like, figuring out what I could do. And some of it was going to him and saying, okay, well, what if I show you, like, I'm not going to wait for a licensing agent to pitch. I'm going to start making relationships with licensing agents. And you know what I did? I created this PDF. It said Mochas and Music. And I sent this stupid PDF that, like, I'm not even a good graphics person at all. And it was a little girl playing guitar and a picture of a Starbucks latte. And I sent it to every supervisor I could possibly find. And I said, what's your favorite Starbucks drink? I'll bring it to you. I'll drop it off. You'll be happy and caffeinated, and I'll leave you with some music. At the time, it was still like a CD. And 26 people wrote me back. And I walked into 26 offices pregnant. My daughter's 6 and a half. She was born November of 2011. This was in February of the beginning of that year. I walk in pregnant and I'm like, here's some coffee with no expectations. And people were like, sit down. And sometimes I stayed for 5 minutes. Sometimes I stayed for an hour. Some people asked me about the baby. I asked them if they had any advice for me because I was a new mom. I didn't know what I was doing. I was wearing like stupid maternity cargo pants. And I was like, I feel so like not cool right now. And people were like, you're so cool. Like, you're just real. And I got 26 licenses. 26 licenses. The first one was for ABC. I remember sitting in labor on an epidural, and Lindsay Wolfington we're clearing a song for the last episode. It was the series finale of One Tree Hill, which felt like a huge thing to be a part of that, because I know so many people were watching that. At the time, it was cool. And she goes, wait, are you in labor? I'm like, I'm on an epidural. I can work. She's like, oh my God, you are insane. I'm like, no one's going to tell me I can't do something. Please tell me I can't do it, because that's all I need to just rip your eyes out. Like, I will do this. So please tell me. In fact, the more you tell me I can't do it, I'm like, yes, let's go. I'm insane. But my point of all of this is like resourcefulness. Like, I didn't know supervisors either, and what I teach you guys to do in this course isn't just, yes, I'll introduce you to supervisors, which is pretty darn easy. I wish I had that. I never had that. Nobody ever was like, hey, Kat, let me introduce you. Even when I had an agent, they didn't introduce me. They wanted to keep that closed so I couldn't get around them. So we don't do that here because I don't need it. I don't need everybody to work with me. I want everybody to be happy. That's why I'm constantly like just trying to put that out there in any way I can through my podcast, whatever. I'm writing a book about it. But in addition to introducing you to supervisors, I'm going to show you how to meet them and show you what I write in emails and show you how to find them and show you how to find their email addresses, because there are so many of them at ad agencies that are so excited about indie artists. And unfortunately, because TV has like a really lousy budget, I still think the fact that we can get 10 grand for an artist for a TV show is significant, but it's 10 grand. Whereas for ads, we're making lots of money, and there's so many ad agencies and nobody's reaching out to them. Like, people reach out to the same 4 music supervisors for the same 4 shows. It's like, do you understand? There's an unlimited amount of ads, Like, get yourself one Target spot, get yourself one JCPenney spot, get yourself a regional Ford spot. You'll be amazed at what that does for your career. And now you can also work on the other stuff. But there's so much that I have to share that it's sort of like people don't know what they don't know. And so people who are in the course, they know, they've seen it, they're experiencing it. It's an experience, So I'm excited about it. I'm excited that people new people are coming in, and I'm excited about this live event that we're doing. There's so much to be excited by. In fact, right now, as we're talking, I'm seeing a message show up about a license I think we just got. I'm just going to read it really fast in case there's anything exciting I can share with you. Let me see what it says. It says, let me read it in real time. It says, hi, Cathy, the agency is requesting the stems for that song. Would it be possible to get a hold? Yes. When they ask for the stems, that's when you know you're very close. So the stems are That just happened. The stems are when you go to the studio, you record a track. Forgive me if you already know this. I'm just repeating it because I'm just excited and I'm using this moment as a teaching moment. So when you submit stuff to a supervisor, you don't send stems or waves because people don't have an unlimited amount of space on their hard drive. You send them a link to an MP3. If you want, you could send them a link to an MP3 and the instrumental MP3. But what you need to have on hand is everything, the wave, the instrumental wave, plus all the stems, meaning like if somebody asked you for the Pro Tools session, you could send over the stems, the vocal, the guitar, the drums, so that they can mix and match. So this spot, this is really cool. This spot, I'm gonna just like scroll back up through the email so I can tell you. Oh, that's so funny. Right, okay. So this spot, okay, so this one is for $42,000, and it's, I know you're gonna laugh. It's for a tampon commercial. It's for like a Kotex commercial. But it's a really cool spot starring somebody very famous. And the track is, the song is about being fierce and about being independent. And it's a really cool song. And I think they're gonna get it. So that's exciting. Anyways, what else can we talk about? Who else has a question? Clara, what's up?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm excellent.
You are such like a force to be reckoned with. I love it.
Can you imagine being married to me? My husband is like, he's exhausted. We wake up in the morning, he goes, I just talked to you for 5 minutes, I'm exhausted. He's like, I don't know what to do with it.
That's amazing.
We're complete opposites, but that's what, thank God for him. He keeps me totally grounded.
It all works out. Well, I just wanted to say, like, I already quit my job to be a musician. And
good for you, first of all.
It's great. And
it's easy.
Not easy. And it was a leap of faith. And I like touring. I've been touring. And yeah, it's like a hard path, but I try not to complain because I know what I love. And so many people don't even know what they love.
That is true.
I feel lucky. And so my goal, because I'm 26, I'm like thinking about my whole life, and like I want to have a sustainable living and be able to like have kids one day and like buy a house one day.
I suggest it. Yeah.
Yeah. But, and so what I know about myself is that I might not have the will of a small country, but I'm pretty determined.
Good.
I think that I know that writing for Sync seems like a good way to be able to make a sustainable living from everything that I've heard and learned from you and from other people. And I know that I can work hard, and I know that like if I took this course or if I really committed to this, like I could continue to get better and better at it because I am resourceful and I have learned from things and gotten better. But because I like don't have a consistent paycheck, like money is a stressor. And so I'm constantly trying to figure out like, like not just how I can, pay my bills, but also like how can I get into the studio again? Or like how can I like afford to take a professional development like opportunity like this? And so it's, on the one hand, like I see you and I see this class and everything that's been going on, and I'm like so inspired, and you are such an inspiring person.
Nice, thank you.
And I know that you have proven results, and you also like you said, you can like list off all the people you've worked with who like have also gotten results. And so it makes me feel, on one hand, it makes me feel energized, like, all right, like I can just, all right, I'll just not think about the fact that it's $2,000 and like not think about the next like 11 months of bills I have to pay, and just like pretend that I can just like figure it out, which is like also not necessarily the smartest thing to do, because I'm like, okay, well, like I can do this, like she's inspiring, she can help me, but at the same time, like there's also no guarantees of getting a placement, and I know that. And so I'm kind of like trying to balance that of like, it seems like an investment, but what if it's an investment that doesn't pay off? And like I know that's like coming from a place of fear, but I just wanted to be really honest with you of like,
yeah, I think that's
a stressor.
I think that I'm so glad you said it. Every sentence of the way I was like, she needs to keep talking, because you're talking about things that everybody feels. And so it's very important to share it, because it's a universal feeling. And I'll tell you two things. Okay. First of all, so we do have, we do have like a process of being able to give scholarships. We do, and we can't give it to every person because there's just always a limit to what we can do, but we do have it. And so I will talk to you guys about how you can apply for that and submit for that, and we will be able to respond fairly quickly because we know what we have. And so once it's gone, but we do have some. And so I'll let you know what it is. Really, I'll let you know how to do it right now. And I'll let you know that once you apply, you'll find out very quickly what it is. And then you can decide to make a decision about it or not. But I also will say that in my life, there have been things that sometimes there's like something inside of you that just knows like, this is something I have to do. And I think we have to really just have that clarity within ourselves. And there's going to be things that are sort of like, well, that would be nice, but I don't have to do that. That would just be sort of like a great extra thing. And there are those things, right? Like we just bought a new house and there are certain things that like, they're not on the priority list. Like it would be nice to have that, but we just spent a lot of money on this new house and there's certain things that I'm going to do and certain things I'm not going to do. And there's certain things that like were just a must, like I had to have like living room furniture and, furniture for the dining room so we could sit down and we could eat and we could host people. And there were certain things that were really important to me because I want to do a lot of hosting. And so that sort of became a bigger priority than other things. I feel like this course is not really as much of a course. Like I feel like even the word course, like a course is a passive thing where you learn information, which is really helpful. And then that helpful information can just help you be better at your craft, which is a great thing. This really isn't as much as a course. That's why we call it an access program, because this class is really more of it's a conduit for people to just start to have opportunities that they really need. And so we're curating sort of the best of the resources that we think are essential for people. Like, it's not just that like, this would be great to learn and have professional development. It's more like, if I'm being really absolutely like 100% like tangible about what I need in order to license a song, I have to meet a music supervisor. And I probably need to meet multiple supervisors and pitch to multiple things every month to increase the odds that anything that I would send would actually get there. So that has to happen. And if I'm looking at reality, probably if I keep going on my own, I probably won't meet 3 music supervisors a month. I probably won't get to pitch to 3 ads a month because I don't right now have that resource. I don't right now have access to any of that. And so that's really something I need if I want to license music. If I don't want to license music, but I really want to tour and I really want to find out how to sell merch and I really want to find out how to grow my Spotify playlist, then this is not the priority. But if the priority is I want to get a placement, I want to get 4 placements, then I have to pitch my music to those people and I have to have the opportunity for them to hear it. It can't just send the email. I have to know that they're going to hear it. So in this class, it's really more of a program. It's an access program. It's a mentorship where we will make sure that happens. Then it will be up to you to continue to stay in and keep creating material that's good enough that it breaks through. But at least you will know that what is guaranteed is that you will be pitching your songs to those people. If you don't have the song that they need, then that's a totally different piece of the puzzle, right? But what I've seen over and over again, I've seen this with all of our students in some ways, but I've absolutely seen this with the ones who've gotten results, is that their music gets closer to being what the people need because the more you're listening directly month after month to their face, you're seeing Lindsay Wolfington, Andrea Von Forrester, all of these people from ad agencies, Eric Rich, who runs the music department at Deutsch, they're doing Charlie Puth. They're doing like, this is it. This is not like the guy who no one's heard of who sits in the back office of this ad agency. This is like Mike Ladman, who worked at McCann, which is one of the biggest ad agencies in the world, in the New York office, and now runs the department at Droga. If you look up Droga 5 and the ads that they do, we're talking Super Bowl. We're talking major stuff. We're talking Annie Perlman and Melissa Chapman, who did all the Target spots. We're talking about the actual people who choose the music. You have to know those people, and the more you hear from them and you hear them say to you, here's what's working, here's what I need, and then you hear them say things that are really advocating for you. Like, they're so supportive, and it breaks all of this sort of like fear. It just like pummels it because you go, wow, they actually care about me as an indie artist. They believe me, the music supervisors they don't have time to waste. So they wouldn't come into the group and be nice to you just to be nice to you. In fact, they're exhausted from hearing garbage all day long. So what they really are is they're direct, but they're also really direct in the fact that they'll say, I need indie music all the time because I don't have big budgets all the time. I can't afford Bruno Mars every day. I can't afford a Katy Perry song every day. I'm begging you to get to work because I need it. They have a job. They have a producer and a director breathing down their necks all the time saying, can you get us an amazing song? We only have $25,000. And they're like, do you understand how hard that job is? It's a very hard job to find a song that works for an ad or a TV show or a film. I'm telling you, I don't have results because I'm the best songwriter there is. I'm an okay songwriter. I think I'm okay. I'm good. I think the reason I have results and every year I make lots of money at it is because I strategize. I think about what works for a scene, what works for an ad, and then I go and write a song where the hook is so simple. It's like Home. Have you heard the song from Ferdinand? It's Jonas Brothers, Nick Jonas, and it's like home, home, home. It's like, that is a song. I can write that song. Like, I can write that song that he wrote for that movie. And not just is it the lyric, it's the way it tasks. Home, boom. It's like really punctuate, home, exclamation mark, home, home, home. And then the song builds and it's got the claps and it's moving. It's like a train. And I once had Libby Umstead, who licensed my songs a few times. She used to work for the show Drop Dead Diva. She now does a lot of trailer stuff. And she said, a song has to be like a train, and the picture sits on that train. And that song's got to go somewhere, and it's got to move. And we got to feel right from the beginning. There's either 4 on the floor, or there's something that's really percussive, and it's building, because I'm telling you a story, and I need that song to tell me that, to help me tell that story, or else I don't need it. If the song is not going to be essential, I don't need it in the spot. If there's a scene that's not really there to amp up the power of that story, I don't need a song in that scene. I only need a song when I'm trying to deliver you home the message of that scene. So if there's an ad that's trying to get you from here to here in 30 seconds, I need that song to lift me. I need that song to push me. There are not that many songs like that. The ones that are like that are amazing, are signed to record deals. It costs them $400,000, $500,000, sometimes $2 million to license it. 99% of the time, they don't have those budgets. So once in a while, they'll save one piece of the budget for this big end title, or they'll save one piece of the budget for their one big ad a year, and every other ad has to be an indie song that meets it. So why have I had songs licensed multiple times? It's because there's not enough out there. That's why. That's why I have a successful agency. That's why I have a successful career. If everyone else was doing this, I wouldn't have We're Good Together licensed 5 times. There would have been another song for McDonald's. McDonald's, they couldn't have found another song. They have access to every label, every licensing agent. Then they licensed my song again. Now we've just licensed a 3rd McDonald's ad. Different agencies, different ads. One was a summer campaign. One was a campaign for their new double cheeseburger. And one is their new campaign, which is gorgeous. And it's a totally different kind of spot. But the songs hit. One's called Let's Get Our Summer On, because it's their summer campaign, right? One was called We're Good Together. It's their double cheeseburger spot. It was a big spot. And the new spot, it's called Friends Like Us. That's the song.
I love it. Yeah.
I teach this in my sleep. So then what I do is I teach it in my sleep, and then I know the person at McDonald's now. Do you understand? So when you're thinking to yourself, I want to license my music, you have to say to yourself, awesome. How am I going to do that? I need the song, but I need to get it to the right person. And I need that person to actually let me in on an opportunity. That's what we're doing. We, along the way, are teaching you how to better the song. But that class piece, which is in there, is like second to the access piece, which is why we called it that, because it has to happen for people. If they don't have that, it's not really going to happen. So the reason why we love it, the reason why we think that it's worth its weight in gold, is because it's a mentorship to help you create that music. If you need Billy Loeffler, because the songs are good, but the production is just not there. then you need a great producer. And then through the feedback sessions, we say, we're feeling it, but this production is not going to cut it. So let me send an email to so-and-so, and you guys need to get together. And then that piece is like, check that off the box. And then the most essential thing is, how often on your own are you having the motivation, that self-perpetual motivation to do what you need to do? And how hard is it to take action when you have no idea what you're supposed to be dialing in? It's like, I'd love to get my career forward. I wish someone could tell me, well, what's missing about this track. I wish I knew the person at McDonald's. Tomorrow morning, okay, it's MLK Day. We actually, for those of you who've been on, we just got a request to send back stems for an ad. But tomorrow morning, we will start to get the searches in. We get about 6 of them a day. Sometimes there's more, but about 6 a day. So we get to work. How many people are going to wake up tomorrow morning and have no clue what's being asked for and be like, whatever, I'm not going to write music today because there's nothing to write for? You know, it's really discouraging when there's no tangible way to actually even make an inroad. So anyway, I think that I think it's the fact that it exists, I think is really special, because I'm telling you, honestly, I have a team of people at my podcast, and they work on shows like This American Life and Serial and Radio Lab, and I have a really special team. And the podcast is now doing so well, and they're like really encouraging me to stop doing all of these other things. In fact, they really are against it. They think that I am being very sort of short-sighted. They think I should be putting all of my time into my podcast. They think I should be offering, if I'm going to offer anything, it should be more time speaking and sort of going around the world. My book is coming out in a few months with Macmillan, which is a major publisher, and they're also against all of this stuff. And I have to push up against it and say, I need to do this for a little bit longer, because I am a songwriter. So for me, I love talking to people about growing their baking business, their screenwriting business, their dance business. Like, I love helping people be more fulfilled because it's so fun. But I'm that girl who comes alive when I'm listening to music. Music is medicine to me. So for me, I have to do this a little longer, but I absolutely will not be able to keep doing this indefinitely, 100%. And Sonnet knows that. And I don't know what that's going to look like, but I just am starting to have less and less time and more pressure, because we have hundreds of thousands of people listening to the podcast every single week. And there's so many opportunities that keep presenting themselves to me. They just did a post about us. I don't know if you saw yesterday, there was an article in Huffington Post about me. And we just got interviewed by Forbes, Inc. magazine, the New York Times, which are all coming out now in the next week and 2 weeks and 3 weeks. And I have to say no to so many things where people want me to fly in and speak and whatever. And it's so exciting, and I want to affect change. So this is not going to happen forever, because I just can't, like I'm being like, someone's knocking on my door telling me like, I got to go. Like, I'm being called to like, literally being called to like, can you come do this? Like, I'm flying to Portland to do Chris Bilbo's. Are you in Portland? I'm going to be there this summer to speak at World Domination Summit, which is run by Chris Gilbert, Side Hustle School. And I was so honored because Brene Brown spoke there last year, and they're like, yeah, Cathy, can you fly in and speak to a few thousand people? And I'm like, I literally have to, I'm sort of like, my calendar is, and I have my own music, right? So I just wrote the theme song to this Netflix show, which is starting in 2 weeks on the 26th. I guess it's less than that. And I have this production meeting. They want me to write more music. And I'm like, I have 3 kids. Like, I only have so much time. But I am going to do this for a little bit longer. And I'm going to be excited about who's ever in it. And then it'll be something that happened, and we'll have done it, and we'll all be like, we did that. That was cool. But I can't. I mean, I just can't spend my whole life just doing this, because it's sort of growing into something else, which is, it's exciting. And I'm excited about it. I never knew that by writing music and having a dream to connect with people, that songs would go from Walmart to KFC to McDonald's to me speaking at Berkeley to being written about in Billboard, and now to me kind of like speaking to the world, and having a podcast that's ahead of Oprah's podcast. Like, I never, ever thought I would one day be full-time just speaking to people about living out their dreams and helping them strategically make that happen. But that's kind of what I'm being told I'm supposed to do in this world now. So I love it. And meanwhile, I'll be doing this though, at least for 2018. So anyways, as far as the scholarship, how many of you want to know about that? I don't know. I can't see everybody. So you can submit for that. We are closing enrollment. Like, it's not fair to everybody to like leave it open. And because we don't want to have thousands of people in the class, even though you can in an online class, we don't want to do that. So we don't just keep enrollment open. In fact, if you were to go to our 1.0 class, that's been closed for enrollment for a long time, many months. Even though I was interviewed on different podcasts like CD Baby and TuneCore, there was a lot of times where people were like, I just heard you interviewed and the class is closed. I'm like, the class is closed. So if you want to do this, you'd have to send us an email by tonight. We're making decisions. And basically just tell us the following. Just say like, I want to apply for a scholarship for the class. This is my situation. Just tell us a little bit. Try not to be like 4 or 5 paragraphs because it's hard for us to like just take the time to like, but we'll get it. Just give us a paragraph like, here's my situation, and send us an email. Have the subject line be like scholarship submission, and then just tell us a little bit about why you want to be in the class. That's the first paragraph. And second paragraph is, here's my situation. Here's why it's hard for me to afford it. We will look at all of them, and we have a limited amount of what we can offer, but we will offer you as much as we can. We will look at it and we'll say like, okay, here's as much as we can. I want you to remember when Billy Leffler and all of our music supervisors come inside the class, we pay them for their time. We respect them too much to not do that. So there's many of those people every single month. And then we have a full-time team who they are going to show up for you, and we pay them for the time and the hours to listen and give you feedback and to be pitching your music and to be flying to San Francisco, Seattle, Chicago, New York. So we have expenses, but we can do something. There's money that we've set aside for people who are really committed, who we want, because we want people like that in the program. It makes the whole program better. It makes everybody better. The rising tide raises all the ships. So if that's you, then you'll let us know that, and we'll let you know what we can do. What else can I tell you? Oh, and if we do offer you a scholarship, then I think that we expect that you say, all right, if I'm going to take it and I'm going to join it, because I was given the scholarship, I'm going to commit my whole self. Like, I'm going to show up. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be somebody who you notice, like, I took that ball and I ran with it. And we wouldn't want somebody to be like, yeah, I got that, and now I'm going to kind of be there and kind of not. We would feel like together we made a good decision, you know? So absolutely, you should send that in. And don't let finances stand in your way. Also, I highly recommend what Mikey just did. I just donated to his GoFundMe page for his songwriting class, which is called the Clay Mills Songwriting something. It's not even my class. I gave him $50. So I'm not promising I'll give everybody $50, but I was very impressed by Mikey. I have not seen that in so far as somebody raising money for a class. I've seen people do Patreon pages for so many different things. I know Carrie did that for our class during Six Figure Songwriting. She just told me that a few weeks ago she did that. But I hadn't really seen anyone do what he did. He said, I'm trying to raise, he said that his songwriting class, it was called the Clay Mills Songwriting Sessions or something. He said it was $550 for like a couple day program or a weekend or something. And he said he was trying to raise it in a day. And he raised $785 from his friends in 24 hours, including $50 from me. So don't be surprised. Like, you know, yes, write to us. We'll do what we can, but also put it out there. If you really want something, I mean, maybe there's a way for you to just say, like, it's really hard to ask for money. I feel super embarrassed, but everyone should be able to, like, do what they love in this world and support each other's dreams. It's such a beautiful thing. And you could give me $5, you give me $10, but you'd be surprised. Maybe by the end of the day or by the end of, like, 2 days, you'd raise, who knows, even if it was $200 or even whatever. If you might be surprised, and then that might actually start to spin your wheels about creating a Patreon, something that's ongoing. But I have a friend who raised $18,000 to make their record, and they weren't famous, you know, and the record wasn't even good when it was done because they didn't know what to write, and it's kind of sad. And they spent all this money on a fancy producer and didn't make a record that was amount to anything. And then the next record they made later, they actually did really well with that after I sat down and said, why don't you write songs with these lyrics? And then that was really cool. But anyways.
What email address, Cathy?
What'd you say?
What email address should we send that to?
Okay, so you can send that to me or you can just send it to me if you want to, because we're on this call, so I'll remember that. So just send it to me, Cathy at Catch the Moon Music. Remember, it's Catch the Moon Music, not just Catch the Moon. Cathy at catchthemoonmusic.com. You could also send it to Sonnet. But we will sit down as a team. We'll look at everybody's letters. We'll stay up tonight. We'll like drink coffee, and we'll be thinking about you. And we'll just try to think about like what's the absolute best that we can do, and how much do we need in order to create, you know, what we're creating, and how much can we sort of, you know, just help. So, but yeah, I think that it is an incredible opportunity to be able to meet people, pitch your music, connect with the supervisors, have some, I don't know. I mean, I haven't had in my life that many people who really can motivate me, but I have a few, and I hold on to those people like a religion, because there's a few people, like they say something to you and your whole day is turned around, and now you actually get something out of yourself. You like reach and you somehow find that potential and you turn it on again. And that's like the greatest drug of all times. Like anyone who can energize you to like keep you in alignment with yourself and stretching, I think that's like, I think it's a huge gift to have that. So I love doing it. I love doing it. Anyways, and you know how you know I love doing it? Because I do it for free. Like I do it on my podcast. You know, I don't get to meet those people necessarily, but I talk to people all the time who are like, my passion is blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how often do you do it? Well, I don't do it. It's like, why not? Well, no one's paying you for it. It's like, well, do it. You want to be a songwriter, songwrite. You want to do this, you know? I'm obsessed with helping people do what they love and get their creative stuff out. Anyway, Lisa, your hand is up.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Where am I?
I can hear you.
I just had an idea for Clara. I mean, maybe she's probably already racking her brain full of ideas how she could make that $2,000. But if she teaches voice lessons, piano lessons, any instrument lessons, that's something that I've done the last 3 years. Just like, you know, I was adding it up and was like, Clara, if you teach 4 hours a month, you've got your $200 a month to pay for the course. It's just 4 hours of teaching. And when you teach as well, you're not only getting paid for that, but you're also giving back musically to whoever you're teaching. Like if you've got, you know, 8 kids to teach 4 hours a month kind of thing. There's just an idea that I was thinking of, because I know how that feels with, you know, money and stuff too. I've got 4 kids, and my husband and I both just quit our jobs and moved towns, and just gotta forge and be creative. But I just wanted to encourage Clara, because I know how she feels. So, but maybe share what you love. So teach.
It's great. I love it. You know, it's great to think out of the box. And because I'm always talking to people with a side hustle that's become something significant, there's this guy who just emailed me yesterday, and I gotta find his email because I gotta share this with you. So Nick Loper has a podcast called Side Hustle, and he talked on, when I had Nick Loper on, he talked about this guy who basically teaches piano on the internet. He's making like $30,000 a month. Can you wrap your head around that? But there's four main ways to make a living. You can make something, like you can make the song. You can make the cookies. You can make the jewelry. You can teach something, right? You could teach someone how to make cookies. You could teach someone how to make jewelry. You can enable something. Let's say you're not the poet. You're not a poet, but you love poetry. You're not the photographer, but you love photography. Or you are a photographer, or you are a poet, and you love it. You want to enable it. You want to put together poetry slam nights. There's a guy in Dubai who works all day feeling so like drained at a hedge fund, and he started doing poetry slams. He's making $1,500 a month from the door, and just by holding space for other poets, they're not necessarily they're not having to put it together. They show up, and everybody pays anyone who comes to like speak in it just for the experience of this guy putting it together. They pay him like $20, and then he makes, let's say, $5 for everybody who shows up to attend it. He loves poetry. He loves supporting poets. He puts it together. He finds a way to create the spaces for these things. He's making $1,500 a month net just to put together poetry slams. I have a friend in New York City. She's a photographer, And she takes these incredible black and whites, and she's done like a winter collection and a barnyard collection, and she's done a collection of umbrella scenes. Like, she just has so many cool things. And she felt like she wasn't having enough shows. And so she and her friend decided that they would go onto Instagram, they would look for people who are in their town, which is Brooklyn, and see how many photographers they could find. And then they started going to places on their own. They were like, well, how could we enable photographers more? So they started going to really cool up and coming cafes and coffee shops and different kinds of hotels. And they would ask them, like, can we put together an evening in your lobby or in your coffee shop or wherever, or in this cool, like, let's say it was like a high-end dress shop for women, like a cool hipster boutique. Could we put together a photography night? And the person was always, they said, like really interested, and most of the time said yes. And they were like, great, so then we'll charge, whatever. There'll either be an entrance fee or there won't be an entrance fee, but people, let's say, come to the cafe and it draws people in. It makes more people excited because each one of the photographers will tell their friends. Let's say they each have 15 people. So then 15 times 10, 150 new faces come to your cafe that night or come to your shop that night. And maybe you sell stuff at your shop or you sell stuff at your cafe. Could you give us then 15% of the door, right? And so they've been making money putting together these like photography nights. How cool is that, right? Like, they've been making like a couple $1,000s a month on the side, and it gives them a way to show their photography to their other friends' communities. Does that make sense what I'm saying to you? So you can make something, you can teach something, you can enable something, and then you can also be a person who likes to just decipher something, which is a person who, like, you want to talk about fashion, you want to, just start conversations about it. Those are just ways of making a living. But as far as the teaching piece, you don't have to only teach a student like in their house. There's other ways of teaching. When I first started out, I was renting a theater, and they would charge me $150 to rent the theater, and then I would invite people to come, right, for like a course, like a class, and I would, I was bringing in supervisors. But I have a friend, she's an acting teacher. She went to AMDA. She wanted to start teaching actors like how to audition. And so I told her this idea, and I told her how there's like so many theaters that are dark during the day in Los Angeles, little tiny nothing theaters that have like 50 seats, but they have a stage. So I said, why don't you make a list? And so she called, and I said, how many kids would you want to have in that one space for like your auditioning class? It would be a class on how to audition. And she's like, I guess I could have 15 kids at a time. I said, great. So rent the theater, find out what it costs. She said it costs $150 for 4 hours. Okay. So I said, great. Now you have 4 hours. How long's the class? She said, well, they're kids, so it shouldn't be like that long. I said, great. Let's say you can do 2 classes in 4 hours, each with 15 people. And let's say each one of those 15 people will give you $30 for a class. Do you know how many classes I take my kids to that are $30? Gymboree, music together. All of them are like that much money. Also, if I go to a class, like a yoga class, that could be $22, $25. But for your kids, parents will pay $30. That's not a lot of money. So do the math, but she's been making that now every Sunday. She teaches 2 classes back to back. She's got 15 kids and 15 kids. She has a waiting list for more. And each class, she's got 30 kids times $30 times 15 is what she's making for 30. Yeah, 30. Yeah, she has 15 and 15, and they're each paying 30. Oh, so 30 times 30 is what she's making in that afternoon. And she's doing that every Sunday. And now she has these waiting lists. So she's trying to see if she could also add a Tuesday or a Thursday, because she's a mom and all this stuff. But she said to me, she's like, I never thought out of the box like that. I'm like, oh my God, let me take you under my wing. Like, this is all I do is like be strategic about stuff, And honestly, one of the ways that I met music supervisors was trying to think out of the box, instead of just sending somebody an email, it was like, how could I solve their problem? And I'll tell you what, when I became an agent and I had more resource, like I had more stuff to provide, I found that actually got me on the radar. And then when I started teaching classes and I bring supervisors in, I know other people who've done stuff like that, where they just being asked to interview. When someone's being asked to be interviewed, people are usually really excited. I have a friend who's an actor who decided to start a podcast where she interviewed casting directors, and boom, she got in with those people. Isn't that crazy? She's like, I'm going to start a podcast where I just talk to those people all the time. And now she has these relationships with these people, and she could start her own casting workshops where she could bring a casting director and then maybe pay people to listen to them. It's infinite the ways that we can make a living, but people usually just don't see those things. They just see it in this one way, and that one way is like not helpful. But if the more we strategize, there's an unlimited amount of ways that we can be making a living. So it's either making And I do all of those things, right? I make music and I enable it by helping other artists, right, get their music. I teach it, right? Like we have this class, and then I also enable that. My class is both like teaching, but also enabling you guys to meet those people. And then my podcast is like deciphering things. Like I started that not knowing that would make any money. And now my podcast, I also work really hard. I show up like 3,000%. So people are like, how'd you grow your podcast in a year? It's like, I don't sleep. I'm obsessed with work. I find it fun. It wakes me out of bed. It calls me out of bed. It's when I start talking like this, don't you start thinking, oh my God, this is amazing. I could be making so much money right now doing fun things, right? Like, isn't it fun? So that's why I don't sleep, because I don't need sleep, because I'm energized. I love it. Like I have found a way to think to myself, I'd love to do this. How can I make a living from that? How can I make money from that and have fun? So my time is being paid for. There's a girl in LA. She started something called Silver Lake Sessions. Do you guys know Jaden? So I said to her, like, you're working blood, sweat, and tears. You've got hundreds of musicians. And what she does is she enables. She creates these evenings where people who don't necessarily have 55 people to come see them all the time, they can get up and perform for each other, right? And then they tell their friends. So I said, people need to start paying to be in this. Or you start charging at the door and you get a piece, because she has to find these huge spaces. And then she finds vendors. This one's going to do beverages. I said, you're working your butt off. She's like, yeah, I guess that could be a job. I'm like, oh my God, you're already doing it. You're providing so much value to people, and it's a small fee for people to pay you. And then they get all this benefit. She's like, true. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, where's the self-worth there? So pretty fired up. You guys are asking good questions. What else? Who else wants to ask me a question or have a conversation? No? You guys good? You have all the answers to the universe? Hi, Kate. I'm going to unmute you. What's going on?
I saw on the calendar that you have office hours listed for the class.
Yep.
What does that mean? What happens for office hours?
Ooh, what happens then? Okay, so there's a couple things going on in the class. So office hours is a designated time where either Sonnet will show up or I'll show up and be like, you can reach me at this time, meaning I'll show up on the Facebook page, the private Facebook page, just for the mentorship program. And I'll be there like this for, let's say, an hour and a half, just answering questions, because there's always going to be things where people are going to be typing in the sort of in the thread of the Facebook group. And I want to make sure that, like, I'm not just going to write that and maybe someone answers me. You need to make sure there's a time for you to actually know someone's going to be there consistently to answer questions. And so office hours is, don't worry if you posted anything and there was a question or a concern, and whether you posted it or you didn't post it, but you're holding on to that question or that thought, at least during these office hours, that's a time where you can come on live and ask. And if you can't be there live to ask the question, you could post it because we'll always post and say, office hours are this time, don't forget, we'll be here. Sometimes we do them over Zoom. Sometimes we'll say, let's do it like this. And sometimes we'll do it over Facebook, but either way we can discuss. You can either be typing to us or we can be seeing you. So either you'll have a chance to post it in the comments and say, I won't be able to be there live, but I've been wondering, how do I get that song to so-and-so who just came in? Or what happened with that search? Or what's the feedback? Or you can always ask the question during office hours, either live or you can post it in the comments, because you need to know if there's not going to be office hours, it's too loosey-goosey. Like, you need to know you can count on
getting your questions answered. Yeah, that's great. I had another question about the Sonnet had posted in her success stories. One of the things that somebody got so many placements with artists. And
who was it? I want to know, because I remember you said that. You're like, oh, is that a thing? So we don't really teach pitching music to artists.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't even know what that's referring to.
I don't know. It was just in her list of like 33 different success stories. One of them was so-and-so got so many songs placed with artists.
Unless she's talking about, there were some people in the group who wrote music and had other people sing those songs. I don't know otherwise what that would mean or what she meant, because we did have people in the class who were so humble and smart, and along the way, Some people, you know, they got feedback that the song was really good, but they needed like a girl vocal, or they needed a different vocal, just depending on things. And some people started writing with different artists to sing their songs, which made all of the difference. I need to ask her what she meant.
Yeah,
But
that's actually my situation a lot, is that I've written a song that's really, it's not for my voice, it's for somebody else's voice.
Oh yeah,
it's a song,
totally.
but it's not my style.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, I have so much respect for that, because like Sonnet, she's very humble, very, very humble. But this last year, she sang at the Disney Concert Hall and the Hollywood Bowl. The Hollywood Bowl. She sings for different artists. She actually just recorded something for The Voice, like the TV show The Voice, a couple weeks ago. She's like, gotta run out. She was on a show herself as a finalist called Rising Star on ABC with Josh Groban. She was in the top 10. She has an amazing voice, and there are times where people ask her to sing backup, or there are times where people ask her to sing on a track that they wrote they don't think is good for them. And I have a lot of respect for people who are willing to sing backup and not like, oh no, I'm the star. Either I'm the star or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Like she has such an incredible voice. She could be the star or the backup. She could do anything. And I wrote with Kyler England for the last 10 years. I've written like 90 songs with her. Kyler's in a band called The Rescues with Gabriel Mann and Adrian Gonzalez. And when we would write songs in the beginning, we would like stop and I would say, oh, who should sing it? You or me? And she was like, you're going to sing it. It's better for your voice. And I always thought that that took so much humility. And she's like, and I love that you're going to sing it. I'll sing backup. I love singing backup. I'm like, who are you? Like, she has such an amazing voice. I think she has a better voice than I do. And she would be like, no, but this is better. Like for McDonald's, this is better. For the American Girl movie song, this is better. Like, your voice is just better for this theme song. It's just like that girl next door voice. My voice is a little bit just more, her voice is more sophisticated than mine. And so I think that that's sometimes like the most important piece of the puzzle, is having the self-awareness to say, should I write lyrics for this? Should I produce it? Is there a better producer? Is there a better vocalist? Is there a better, you name it? I think
people are always telling me my voice is really pretty, but sometimes it's too pretty. It's great for children's music. It's perfect for children's music, but it's not pop at all. So if I write a pop song, I need somebody else to sing it. Totally.
Yeah. I think it's like really smart and helpful when people are, you know, it takes a lot of self to be humble like that, you know? So yeah, as far as the course goes, we're going to close enrollment tonight. We will be able to look at scholarship stuff if you guys want to send it in, and we'll write back with whatever we can do. But we're excited. I'm going to do my first session with you guys on Thursday. We have music supervisors lined up. We have producers lined up. We'll start as early as this week. We'll start showing you searches that we're looking for. We have one that's 35,000. And you're getting in at a good spot, because we already pitched a first round last week, and they came back and were more specific and changed direction a little bit. So we're now further along the road with the ad agency, and we know what they want. So we'll be posting that this week. I'm just going to look in the chat, because I see that people are typing and I haven't looked at it because I've been talking to you guys.
I'm going to ask one more question while you're reading, which is, it's the middle of the month. So if you're joining the class now, are you expected to be able to complete January's assignment in half a month?
No. You know, this is the thing. This is all what you put into it. So we're not those kind of people who are going to, like, you know, crack the whip and say, like, we are so disappointed in you. You didn't do this assignment. We're just going to bring you lots of opportunities, and we're going to put our all into helping you meet those opportunities. But if you don't, you don't. Obviously, we love to see people hustling and getting results, because it inspires everyone else even more. And there's a collective consciousness that gets stronger and stronger. So we want people to be committed, but you don't have to do any of the assignments. Like, you could sleep through the whole thing, and, you know, it's not like you're going to get a grade or class credit, or you're not going to get your diploma from the school. It's up to you. So you do what assignments you're going to do, and you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And then that's fine. So no, you don't have to complete anything, but I think for your own success rate, you should complete as much as you can. And we really hold a high standard. So maybe you'll complete 70% of the class. Maybe you'll complete 50% of it. I think that would still be, I venture to say that even if you completed 50% of the class, you put yourself 3 years ahead of where you might be otherwise, because you'll be given a lot of direction and targeting and focus so that whatever you spend your time on will be the right stuff. I'm trying to read your questions. I'm reading your questions. So Tamara was asking about whether when I started out I was pitching demos or fully produced songs. Yeah, I mean, as far as like that goes, I would say, you know, our job is to exceed expectations and anticipate what people need and solve problems. And so I think, you know, it's always better to have it. Like I get so many emails from people who are like, send me an email to ask me if they could send me something I need, right? It's like, well, you could have just cut out that and just sent me what I needed, right? Because now you're hoping that you get a response, and what if I don't respond? And it's like, just send it, you know, like just show up. I like when my husband just picks up the dry cleaning. He doesn't ask me, just shows up with it, you know? So I think we have to do our best to make sure that we anticipate that. And if you want to compete with other people and things that they're listening to, I think it only makes sense that you're not asking them for handouts and favors and for them to take time out of their job to give you feedback. You're asking them to just give you a shot by comparing you to everything else they have. And do they want to choose it or not? And so we have to be a professional and get it done, you know, and have, you know, you can't send something to your publisher if you're writing a novel and you didn't spell check it and you don't have it in the right order. If you're sending in a spec script because you want to write for a new TV show, it's got to be in the way that they like it done. And so you do the homework and find out how, and you make sure that you have, what's it called? Well, there's a name of that word program that everybody uses. I'm not a writer, but there's enough of them in LA. I should know the answer to that. But anyway, just reading through your chat. Yeah, Nathan, if you have 2 different tracks that you want to submit in a month, why not? You know, like we'll listen through as many as we can. You guys will be surprised. I hate to say it. I feel like it's a sad fact, but most people don't show up for every opportunity. Very little, very few, very few. I mean, we had over 1,000 people, close to 1,100 people in this 8-day challenge. About 60 people are going to be in this course. Think about that. Do you see how easy it is to stand out? You know? So I think that's like, and then every time, you know, we submit something and we say, we have a search, it's like, we don't hear back. And then at the end of the day, the people who get results, they know what they put into it. Other people are like, nothing happened. It's like, well, did you show up? Because I don't remember getting your song. Oh, well, I had this happen. I got this flu. I was like, okay, for 8 months, you had the flu. So I didn't get the song. So I can't help you. So it's really not hard to stand out. You have to show up. I'd say 90% of it is just showing up. So that should excite everybody. Is there a way to get your whole catalog reviewed by someone? I mean, I think slowly over time, you know, song by song, songs come in and people review it. I don't think that anyone has the time to say, okay, I'm going to sit down and listen to 30 songs right now. But you'll see, I mean, again, not everybody shows up. So we'll do these listening sessions. And the reason I get to know people's names, I know Josh Doyle and I know Robbie Tucker, is because there are certain people that they show up for those listening sessions. And I'll be like, okay, I heard 6 of Robbie's songs in the last 3 months. Anybody else want to send me your song? And people are like asleep. I'm telling you, like 20% of people will show up no matter what you're doing, which is, I hate that statistic. I wish we could change it. So you'll be surprised. Like if you keep showing up, your songs will get heard. You'll get more feedback. You'll get more attention. I mean, we're doing this thing right now, right? I mean, how many people have asked me a question? I mean, you guys can ask me anything. You could say, how did you meet so-and-so? Who's the supervisor at Disney Soundtracks? What are they looking? Nobody, you know, like there's a few people who ask me a question and some people don't. It's just life, you know, it's great. It's like more room for the assertive squeaky wheels. So I'm a squeaky wheel. So I get that. And I've always had the pleasure of being the squeaky wheel and watching what happens when you're not.
I think I'm going to write a song called Crickets.
So what else? So yeah, if you want to join the class, join it by tonight because enrollment is going to close. If you want to apply for a scholarship, then send me an email or send Sonnet an email and put in the subject line scholarship submission. Tell us in the first paragraph why you want to be in the class. Tell us in the second paragraph what's going on with you, and we will write you back, and we will do our best to meet you as much as we can and help you as much as we can. But think about what we talked about today. So there's some powerful stuff. I mean, aside from this program, you guys could probably listen back to what I was saying about teaching, enabling, creating things, and you could probably spitball and you could probably create some other streams of revenue for yourself if you really took that to heart. I'm not joking. So that's awesome, Dax. Happy to have you in it. That's awesome.
Cathy, are any of the sessions in the evening for people that have day jobs, any of the live sessions?
So we try to mix things up. It's hard for me because I work during working hours, and then when I'm in the evenings, all three of my kids are here, so it's almost impossible. But we do try to mix things up if we can. Sometimes we'll do stuff on a Sunday because we'll be like, are you guys around? I know some people go to church, so we'll say, how about at like 3 in the afternoon, can you guys be here on a Sunday? So we will try to do that. That is something I can sometimes kick my kids out with my husband. They can go to a park or something, and then I can do a class on a Sunday. As far as music supervisors, they really don't like having to do things in the evenings. They like to do things during working hours, but everything is recorded and everything is available, and we will let you know what they're looking for, and then you'll be able to submit. So you won't lose out on the opportunity to submit. And if you want to have your songs reviewed and you haven't had a song reviewed in a while, and your songs are, we're wanting to give them the supervisor, you don't have to be there for them to review it. They might review it, and we might let them know she's not going to be able to be here, but we'd love to have you give her the feedback, and then you can watch the recording. So you won't really be missing out. You might be missing out on watching it live, but the actual opportunities won't be withheld if you can't be there during the day.
You also can do a self-assessment. I'm a Cathy Catch-the-Moon kiddo. And if you would just go to her webpage and look at the artists that she has and make sure your songs are within the same caliber as that will help out a whole lot.
True. It's great to look at what's going on, but we're always looking for more stuff. We get so many searches, and Sonnet and I are like, we want to pitch more than just these songs. We want to pitch new people, and we love when we recently just signed somebody from the Access course, and you'll start to see what's happening. And what's really fun, I love when Sonnet does this, and if you're in the class already, if you just joined, you can scroll down, you can look for these. But Sonnet and Victoria and myself, we'll do posts and we'll be like, congrats to so-and-so and so-and-so, we just pitched your song for that spot. And people are like, yes, like you get real time, I'm being pitched for that. And then we use Disco, which is an awesome way for us to sort music and keep music in a catalog. And so whenever you're like thinking about it, you're like, I want to know how many times my song's been pitched, Disco keeps tracks of who we pitched for what. So everything's been tagged. And so sometimes an artist will be like, have you pitched me in a while? I'll be like, how about these 8 things you didn't even know you got pitched for? Sometimes they forget. It's kind of fun. All right. Well, I'm going to hop off. I love this. So much fun. I could do this all day. It energizes me. You guys are great. I hope that this gave you some food for thought. If you want to join the class and you want to be considered for a scholarship, send an email. Don't feel embarrassed. Everyone's been there. Send it on over. We'll do our best. We'll make sure everybody gets something. We'll try to give as much as we can. We'll do our best. We'll just absolutely do our best. And we'd love to see you guys as part of this program. I know it's going to be amazing because it is amazing. It's been fantastic. It's so much fun. I mean, even this was fun. Like I felt like I always get something out of it. So it's a pleasure. And so send that over if you want. And we're going to start this week posting what we need, what we're looking for inside the Access course and mentorship program. And I'll be starting on Thursday with our first session, and we'll be diving deeper. This is going to be an amazing year, and I hope to spend more time with you guys. So thanks for being here, showing up.
Thanks, Cathy.
You guys are awesome, and I'll see you soon. Bye.